Hey, Doodlescape, thanks for the subscription. I super appreciate. Trevino. So I'm just doing. Hold on. Yeah. So I'm doing a little study of this picture right here. It's some boxer. I didn't look at his name, but basically the challenging thing about this image is don't want, like, the picture here is a bit overexposed, and even if you like multiply the values, there's still like a big spot here that doesn't have any info. So but in my drawing I wanna solve that and actually draw the detail in there. But I might have to find a picture of an arm or something to do it correctly. I'm also not looking for an exact copy because I don't want him to look up. I just want him to look forward here towards this guy here. And maybe I'll do something with his hand, something to make it more funny, but we'll see. Hey, Art of Patrick. Yeah, yes. I only recently started streaming. Do you know Leyendecker? Yeah, I love Leyendecker. I'd say he's one of my influences. Maybe indirectly. It's both directly and indirectly, I think, because I think I love a lot of artists who love Leyendecker. But I know him for a fact. Him and the other guy, what's his name? Yeah, I also like to. I also like to do the thing with the brush strokes where you try to say a lot with just a few, with like a few brush strokes. brush economy, yeah. It's mostly the thing that you're not gonna like zoom in and do uh, like all the individual hairs, but you know you just focused on like the bigger reflection there, or at least that's the theory. Hey, Macroel, I don't think I have any bots that can tell you the uptime, but it's been 30 minutes. Yeah, in my family we got loud sneezers. My dad is the worst. When he sneezes, it's like a bomb goes off. Hey, Art of Gym. I'm glad you could catch it too. Mhm. if the chat is quiet, I'm usually also just like sinking into the drawing. Who whose artist are you gonna draw for your next artist portrait? I tried to do Elisa, but I didn't really like the start. Um, so I'm gonna restart that. Find a better reference photo. There's really too many to draw, so I always kind of get stuck on choosing. Kadui, I just discovered your stream a few days ago, and I think you're my new favorite artist on air. It's nice to hear. Yeah, I guess I have to explain the layers. So this file here, let me hide those reference images for a sec. So this file basically is like a working file. It's my digital sketchbook. So I treat it like, you know, a general, like any other sketchbook, except that it's a bit more clean and organized. You know, it's not too messy. But basically, yeah, I've been working on it. Like this is the of this file, because I got a couple of them. I just keep on working on it. So, you know, whenever you flatten something, it takes the name of the top layer. So it's always the highest number. So you can see how many layers there have been in this file. So, you know, this is what was this was before. This is 100%. So this file is 15K pixels. It prints at 1 meter 30 if you print it. Yeah, this was the one before. So after I'm done with all the paintings, I fill it in with little sketches, and that's where I still trying to find some more fluidity. The chainmail in this case is more like plate mail, or it's not really chains, it's little pieces. I don't even know if this kind of chainmail exists. But basically what I do is I make this little shape like this, and then I copy that and I repeat it, and then with Alt I can copy it. So I copy it a few times, and then I copy that, I paste it, I put it on multiply, and then you just have to move it a bit, right, like that, and then you can do the same thing, copy that again, like that, and then you have something like this, hold on, like this, and then you can warp it to match the contour, right? Then, you know, you start painting over it. Let's say you put it on multiply here, and then you can give it like depth and volume. Right? Let's copy this again. So yeah, that's how you get it. This one, that's the one I painted, and then you just have to be smart about where to place the highlights, basically. So imagine like not all of these change their like position positioned the same, so you know it you can kind of vary the highlights and then make one like a crooked one, so you pop out. You know, you could, for example, add a highlight uh, here, you know, and then you kind of make it like it's it's kind of crooked, make it pop out a bit, for example, you know, stuff like that. um, yeah, you can kind of play with it, but the main shape you're kind of rendering is like a cylinder like this, so you're going, you know, towards the middle here, and then here is some reflected light, so I just took some of this light, you know, this color, the white, and I, you know, painted that in. um, Here you have the elbow, so there's a bit of a difference between you know, this is a bit more, this is like a new shape here, so you know it adds the highlights here. Same with this, you know, you have the biceps, and then you have the, because the chainmail is following the anatomy underneath. Same reason why I got on the wrist here some extra highlights. Um, so you merge all the layers. Yeah, just merge stuff, and then right. So you know, if I paint something like this, you can copy it. Just, you know, and then it's transparent. Or you can, you know, if you copy merge it, it's Control Shift C. Then you got the white, but then you can just put it on multiply, right? And then you can copy the whole thing. Copy, merge, paste, put it to multiply, you know, and then merge it again. Now you have a, you know, sometimes it reverts back to normal, but then you just put it to multiply again, you know. And then in the end, you know, when you're gonna paint it, you just merge it uh, with the rest. Do you ever use the pen pressure option when using the brushes? It has pen pressure. Look. But I use it. I mainly use it to. I try to paint a value that I want, and then the pen pressure is just to make those edges a bit softer. So when I paint the next patch, you know, the colors sort of blend together. How large is the file? I don't know. It's probably like 2 gigabytes or something. But I keep merging it, you know, in the end I merge it. I don't really care about the layers. Where was that other face? Here? No? This one? Yeah. How do you think by rendering a cartoonish stylized character with your way of painting that is quite realistic in a way? Do you mean I should paint a cartoonish character? Not, I don't follow. So tips for rendering is basically what you do is first you find the shadow. You separate the light from the shadow. Light travels in a straight direction. So let's say you have an object like this rock, and light is coming like this. Then, for example, if you have, the light here coming like that, then there will be a part of the rock that's not being hit by the light rays, right? So, but because it's 3D, you'll have, let's say you have a rock, this place will vary along this surface. So here, along this line, that's the border of the light and the shadow, and then all of this stuff here is gonna be shadow. That's the first thing you look for. So in this character, in this dude, that's all these shapes here, like this. So he's mostly in the light. So on his face, it's only like the black stuff here, right? And in his, then the eyes, it's something like this shape here. So that's all that's all this part, the thing I colored here. In the ears it's this, and then the hair is probably, something like this. Maybe these ones belong to the shadow, and then here in the arm, this stuff, and then this stuff here, like this. And this here is just a very dark mid-tone. Then we continue here on the arm. It's this shape here. So that's a cast shadow and a bit of a form shade right here on his nipple. There's this little shape here. Then the abs right there, and then underneath his arm, it's like you can see here. Here is his abdomen. Then there's a change in local value basically. So this is darker, but you can see the shadow running along here. So this is in shadow, and then sometimes it's hard to see, but so that's and then here like that. And you can see here there's these little pieces that are still in the light. So those are kind of like important details. It goes like this, and then here, like that. And that's all this stuff. And then all of these shapes, they're basically in the shadow. So they are their own separate value. They have their own separate value range. So let's say you have a value range going from black to white, like this. In this case, the shadow is like this value range, and then the light is basically like, let's say this is like the darkest value of the light, so it's gonna be around here. So this is the light, the range of the light, and this is the range of the shadow. And as you see, like these two ranges, they don't overlap. So everything usually, right, it's always usually. So whatever your values are in the shadow, you're not gonna see them you're not gonna see them in the light part of your image, right? And what happens next is that this is the terminator, but depending on how fast the form is turning, this line is gonna be either sharper or softer when you transition into the light. When you have a piece of paper, uh, like like this, and you bend it like that, there's gonna be a slow, uh, you know, when it's going from light into shadow, it's gonna go slowly. But if you have, for example, a piece of paper that's sharp like this, you know, then it's gonna go, you know, then the edge is gonna be really sharp. So if you look at this, yeah, basically there's usually gonna be this gap, and it's gonna be, you know, you're gonna bridge it, you're gonna bridge this gap when you do those transitions here. So for example, for a rock, you know, you'll have maybe this part is gonna be softer, then, you know, some parts are gonna transition really soft, and some parts are gonna be harder. So that's kind of how you know, that's where you bridge the gap, is at the terminator. The reason it's called the terminator, like often, because the light is reflecting back into the object. You know, you're gonna have the darkest part of the object is gonna be along that edge, and not along, you know, the edge of the object. So there's light bouncing back, you know, it's striking the areas around it and then bouncing back, and it's illuminating that shadow side. Now in this guy, it's actually hard to see except for some places, because it's, you know, the type of photography that's being used. But for example, you know, you can see it here on his forehead. You know, the top of the forehead is a bit lighter, so there's light reflecting back, and some places have less. Some places have less reflective light. So for example, in this crevice here, it's very dark. There's no, you know, there's no light basically bouncing back into this crevice. But if you see here on the shoulders, you know, there's light coming from the environment, illuminating the shapes here in this part of the shadow. So this photo looks like it's roughly like the midtone and the light are part of the same thing. So what you do after you establish the terminator is that you're gonna do the form rendering. So you're gonna start doing the form rendering, and you're going towards, you know, like the lightest spot here. So yeah, that's the tip on the rendering. And each time you have a plane change, then you also have a value change basically. Yeah, so depending on the position of where you stand and where the light is, you're gonna see more of the shadow and less of the shadow. If you're gonna be watching this character from the other side, you know, you're gonna see way more shadow. You know, even if you're gonna be watching this character from, you know, from this side like that, you'd see half of his face in shadow and half of his face would be in light. So it depends on, you know, the type of light and where you stand if he's holding his arm a bit different, then there might be like a giant shadow appearing here. But yeah, it's kind of the thing that makes this photograph interesting. You see how his hand is turned here? His hand is turned a bit. If he was holding his hand more straight, like this, his fingers, more next to each other than towards the camera, then you would see less shadow, of course. So, but yeah, it's that shadow design that you're looking for. Like if you look at the art of Mike Mignola, for example, he basically paints with shadows. Even though he's an inker, he doesn't do inks like anyone else. He figured out a way to make. He's basically just drawing all of these shadow shapes, and all the rest of the lines are thin outlines. And then the next step, for rendering is basically you're gonna move from one anatomical shape to the next. So anatomical shapes, they, let's say you have this neck here, which is like it's somewhat shaped like this. Then you have the muscle. This muscle here is called the sternocleidomastoideus. It's on top of it, like that. So this one, okay, you got the larynx. So you got this shape here. On top of that shape. So what's happening is, you're gonna move from this edge until you reach the next hard edge. Basically, it's not really a hard edge. It's an edge somewhere between. Each edge can have its own. Basically, there is an unlimited amount of edges. So the edge is just defined by how fast the form is turning. So you're gonna move up to this one, and from this one you're gonna move up to the next one, and then until you reach basically the other side. And here it's kind of flowing, very flowing like this. Think of it kind of as a wireframe, and it's the same thing here. Here there's this kind of edge here, and you're gonna move up to the next one, and then you're gonna move up to the next one, and then this one is gonna move up to the one that would be here, and then you're gonna move up to this one. And it's kind of in each direction. You have that edge here, you need to go like this, and then that one is going in this direction. Here it's like this, then you move up to this one here, then you move up to this one here, and then here's the same. There's one here, you move up to the little nipple there, you move up like that to this triangle shape here, and then you move up to this one, and then you move up to this one. Do you guys understand that? Here's the same. You start here, you move up to this, you move up to this, you move up to the next one. Here's the same. You move up to the next edge, you move up to the next edge. Here on the biceps, you have here the edge is a bit sharper, here it's softer. Here it's a bit sharper again. You go like this, you go like this, and then you go like that. And here you reach this almost invisible edge that's from the deltoid. Here you're going like that, you're going like that, and the direction of this light is basically where, you know, where the light is hitting the most. So once you get that, it's kind of simple. And then it's just a question of being accurate and patient. But basically, you know, like anything you see usually follows an anatomical shape. So, for example, you know, you can kind of see this shape here. You see this shape, this. So there's this patch of value, and what people often don't realize that, you know, all these little patches of value, they usually are describing something. So here you can see, you know, the insert of this muscle. So this muscle is going like that and is round like this. It connects here. So that's, and this is like the next shape. And this is a bit of this crevice here. It's like a bit of connecting tissue. The same thing here, you know, you see this shape here, and then you see this triangle and this triangle. So all of this little stuff here, all of the things you would just look over there, it's actually important. You know, you have the muscle going here, and then you have this shape here, you got this shape here, you get that shape there. So basically, everything you're looking at is important. And then if you're talking about style is kind of just deciding where you want to skip over certain forms, how angular you're gonna make the forms, or how round, for example. You could have a more round style, or, you know, like in Lilo and Stitch, or you could have a more angular style like in Atlantis, if you're gonna compare it to Disney movies. So, for example, a stylized ear would skip over all these forms, and, you know, they would just, you know, just do something like this. Can we share sketchbooking stuff in the Discord? Sure. does your background in figure drawing come from? It's all made up myself, I think. It's more like a Bridgman, I think. But I just read a lot of different stuff because I'm self-taught, so I didn't go like there was no one that explained this to me except for some workshops that I followed with, with with painters. But yeah, so I studied Loomis, I studied Bridgman, Hogarth. Um, yeah, I think you should be able to. The way I see it, it's like a overlay, like in Iron Man. If you know different, 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 you can, in your mind, you can overlay the Riley lines, for example, or you can overlay the Loomis, or you can overlay the skull. Just kind of imagine the skull underneath there, or you can imagine the Loomis head underneath there, or the muscles. If you kind of study all of that stuff, you can kind of do that. So you can make decisions on why something is or isn't working. Because I think in the end you're looking for your own thing. Because I think in the end, all what those teachers or those methods were doing themselves is analyzing nature and then coming up with a system. And there's nothing really stopping you from doing the same thing. You don't have, you could become, if that was your goal, you could find your own system of drawing just based on observation. You'll probably end up with something that's quite similar than the stuff that already exists. Because those guys, they knew what they were talking about. do some portrait construction and features breakdown in the future. Yeah, sure, I'll be able to do that. But I have to say, like, I'm not an expert in drawing like those kind of construction lines. So when I do it, it looks a bit. It doesn't look very pro or anything. Yeah, and there's like painting schools that really reject all those constructional things. Like I did a workshop with a painter once, and he says like, how are you going to really observe a form when you are already influenced by the shape, by shapes that are already in your head. So instead of really looking, you're gonna look for example, the Loomis head in there, and when you're then gonna paint it, then you're already influenced by that construction. So some painters, they say like you really have to try to get all of that stuff out of your head in order to be able to see, the matrix. If you want to be able to see the matrix, then you need to like clear your mind of stuff. But that painter was, yeah, his goal was to do super realist, like hyper realism. So he kind of rejected like Russian constructive drawing for that, for like the way he saw painting. I think it just depends on your goal. And I kind of agree with it. Like when I draw a character, I just want to start with what I see, and I don't want to start with the Loomis head, because I'd be afraid, everything will just look like that. Everything I come up with will end up looking like the Loomis head, and it will be devoid of character. Do your images often start with a theme or idea, or do you just play in? This is based. This one is based on. This one is based on the theme of my Patreon. We have a monthly or bi-monthly theme. And we're all drawing the same pictures. So then this month, what the theme was boxing. So then every week I basically do one painting, or that's what I'm doing now. Like the other one was this one, which was drawn from imagination. So if you think that's something you like to do too, there's a link down below that leads to the Patreon. You get access to a Discord, and then you can do all the stuff. Then you can draw together. The brush I'm using is included, for example. The process videos of Twitch, and the Twitch streams, they end up on there. I give critiques. I help people out with their stuff, and I share the stuff on Instagram. Yeah, that's on my Patreon. So the Patreon link is in my info on the on the Twitch here. It's just cool to have a bit of a community that you can draw together. It's less boring than just posting stuff on Instagram, like posting stuff into the void, and like having it eaten by the algorithm. Instead, you can share it on Discord. You have people commenting on it. It's just way more fun. I mean, if you don't join mine, I would still suggest you join any other artist. There's a bunch of cool ones. The only thing with the Twitch videos is Twitch have this DMCA thing. Yeah, that's true. I noticed that. But if I upload my recording, because I also make a recording at the same time, if I upload that to YouTube, then it will often keep the music. They just put ads on it. And you can't monetize the videos then on YouTube, but I don't care about that at the moment. Will the brushes work for 2015 version of Photoshop? I think they would. Now let's say you buy them and they don't work, you just message me and I give you a refund. Yeah, if you use them in if you want to use them in Procreate, it's not a good idea. They work, but it's not. It doesn't look too good. Hey, Adrian Wolf, thank you for the raid. Thanks, Adrian. Yeah, everyone go check out his Adrian's profile. Does understanding how metallics work help you make studies of them? Yeah, totally. I'll show you something I made for my Patreon just now. It was about armor. It's just really quick and it's not very graphic designy. So here's kind of the explanation. For example, when you have a really smooth surface. So basically metal is just is basically just a mirror, a spherical mirror, and you know, when the light comes in on the mirror, the surface is so smooth that, you know, all the light rays, they bounce, you know, in exactly the same direction. So the, you know, the image that you see is exactly the thing that's, you know, the light that's falling on it. So when you have a sphere like this, you can see, you know, here in the sphere you can see the sky, you know, gradually getting darker. You can see the trees, you know, you can see the sun on the ground here, and you can see, you know, you see the trees, you see the photographer, you see, you know, the wooden board here, you see the road, you see everything. And if you have a really smooth armor, you can see the same thing. You know, here you see the wall and the pattern of the wall behind it. You see the photographer. You know, you see the sky, you see the trees, you see everything. But then once the metal is a bit older, some of the light rays are basically not gonna bounce in the same direction. You know, they're gonna bounce slightly off, and some rays are gonna be way off. So, you know, then you get a bit of a rougher surface, but you can still see those reflections. You know, you still see the top part is basically the sky. You can see the trees here, you can see the ground. So that's what I drew here. You know, you have this part here, which is basically the reflection of the trees. You have this part here, you know, it's the reflection of the sky. So I drew that stuff here. You know, you have the trees, you have the sun, you have the sky, you have the clouds, and then each of those plates, they, you know, they act as their own separate mirror. So on the helmet again, you can see the trees, you can see the sun reflected in it, you know, and you can see the clouds like that. So, and then once the surface gets really rough, then the light is bouncing, you know, all over the place. So the, you know, the sharp reflection you had before gets completely scattered, and that's what's happening in these balls. But again, you know, you can see the blue of the sky, and then you can see the, you know, you can see the purple of the ground here. So in every of these balls you can see it. You know, you see the clouds, you see the, you know, the blue of the sky. So that's what you get when you have these old, more rusty helmets full of scratches. So what color is metal? You know, if metal is metal is gray, and it's, you know, how smoother it is, you know, how more color you will see from the environment, and how more rough it is, how more you'll see of that local color. So, you know, in this case, the metal is a bit, you know, is a bit of a reddish, brownish color, because it's a bit rusty. Same with this, you know, same with this helmet, it's very gray. So if it was bronze, it would be, you know, like more a brown color. And then, you know, depending on how shiny it is, you know, it also has more color reflecting from the environment. So for example, if you have like in this case, you have an overcast sky, and suddenly all those blue colors, they start disappearing, and you only have grays, for example. and because they're standing in a green field, you can see that the bottom part of these helmets, the part that's reflecting the grass, now has a greenish color. So all these these bottom parts, they all have like a green hue to it. So then if the armor is inside, for example, then you won't see any blues, you'll just see the colors, you'll see the orange here from the background. You'll see, the the artificial light, the artificial light is a warm light, so you'll see those light reflected into the colors. So overall, this armor, will be more like brownish. So yeah, that's it. It's easy stuff. I tried heavy paint, not that much. I have it, but haven't used it. have to remind myself that when I am looking at reference, it's just a springboard for me to design contrast to build a read. Yeah, you know, you should like. There's a couple of things I'm changing about this reference. Um, I'm trying to draw like all of the muscles, for example. To me, like adding this finger looks cooler than what he has. So you know, you don't have to stick like to your reference for 100%. I need to. I think Bridgman is dead. He's pretty dead. So how are you gonna do that? Sorry, Grandma, you have to move up a bit. Alright, there we go. That was it for this morning. So thank you for watching, and see you later. We'll do a raid. Let's see. Alright, guys, be ready. I'm gonna rate Sasha Tudvaseva.